tranquila, tranquila, tranquila.
Oh, I got you.
The terror that's shaken Houston to its core when a woman opened fire in Joel Osteen's megachurch. Today, we're taking a deep dive down that rabbit hole of what warning signs were missed. The shooter being accused of medically abusing her son and terroristic propaganda posts leading up to the shooting. You're watching Fox 26 Crime Files. I'm Abigail Dye. I was there at Lakewood Church reporting all of this as breaking news as it happened. And since then, this story has just gotten deeper and deeper. Before we get into this rabbit hole, here's a quick recap on what happened and who the shooter is. Moments from inside Lakewood Church Sunday when police say Genesee Moreno opened fire with her 7-year-old son at her side. All right, Mike. Two officers shot back, killing Moreno, and her son was shot in the head. Records show Moreno's been arrested at least 6 times since 2005 for charges ranging from assault and evading to unlawful carrying a weapon.
She was put under an emergency detention order by Houston police officers, we believe in 2016. We do believe that she does have a mental health history that is documented through us.
In 2022, she filed this protective order against her husband, Enrique Carranza. The document showing Carranza as a registered sex offender. Weeks later, Carranza, also the father of the 7-year-old, filed for divorce. This affidavit claiming that Moreno stored a loaded handgun in their child's diaper bag and that she kept him in diapers instead of potty training, and kept him on a feeding tube for years when it was supposed to be in place for just weeks. The document claiming that the neglect constitutes Munchausen by proxy, intentionally making the child dependent and impaired. We spoke to a former teacher of the child who didn't want to be identified.
Anybody, he would always run around hitting kids, like picking on him, and he would laugh about it. I don't know if he did that because she would do that. You know, when you live around it, you pick up on it.
The document claims Moreno was investigated 4 times by Child Protective Services, something CPS says they're not lawfully able to comment on.
It's hard to believe that she still had him.
Despite the claims, the court gave primary custody to Moreno in May of 2022. In October of 2023, the teacher says the boy was pulled out of school.
Everyone at the school is praying for him.
Abigail Dye, Fox 26 News. Now, Moreno's 7-year-old son, who was shot in the head that day, is still in critical condition. Now, let's get into that alleged child abuse. I'm going to bring in Detective Michael Weber with the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. Now, he's been in law enforcement for a few decades, and he's dealt with 50 cases of Munchausen by proxy syndrome. Now, let's just break this down. If you could explain to us, Michael, what exactly is this syndrome, and what, in this case, makes you think that it's present?
Certainly. Medical child abuse, Munchausen by proxy, is the process of exaggerating, falsifying, or inducing an illness in a otherwise healthy child. In this case, and what we see in a lot of these cases, is premature births are pretty prevalent. And in this case, and again, this is all based on if the court filings are correct by the mother-in-law, that doctors very early on were suspicious that mom had induced her own early labor, which we've seen in these cases, and that she caused the child to be born at 23 weeks. And from there, the child did have some developmental issues, but there was also concerns about adult drugs being found in the child's feeding tube, and the doctors in the court filings noted that mom had noted in the court filings that the doctors had alleged Munchausen by proxy in the medical record. Again, that is in mom's court filing, and if that is true, that is extremely concerning for medical child abuse or Munchausen by proxy.
Right, and Michael, you mentioned something that kind of rolls into my next question here. So how often do we see feeding tubes used in this kind of abuse?
There was a study done at Seattle Children's, and by Dr. Carol Jenny and her group up there. And it was the most common medical procedure in Munchausen by proxy cases.
And what kind of laws and policies does CPS have here in Texas around this syndrome and around this kind of abuse?
CPS has no policies on this abuse, and they provide no mandated training to their investigators. Their investigators right now are pretty much in the dark whenever these reports come in. And that is not the investigator's fault. You don't know what you don't know. And on top of that, pediatricians also, pediatricians receive an hour of mandated training per year on human trafficking. They receive nothing on this form of abuse. So your regular pediatricians will know could know about as much as the average person on the street on this abuse.
Wow.
And also law enforcement receives no mandated training.
Wow. And Michael, looking at this abuse with your expertise and these allegations, do you feel like this was kind of a warning sign? Like, does it surprise you that this mother essentially used her child as a prop in this shooting?
Well, what I can say, and this again, based on the court filing, if the court filing is correct, there are numerous red flags for this abuse. Obviously, I haven't reviewed the case. All the records, I don't know, and you can't do that without reviewing everything. Mm-hmm. But there are many red flags that should have led to an effective investigation by both police and CPS into this abuse. As far as the mother using her child as a prop in this shooting, that doesn't surprise me, because what we find is that there's usually not a the normal mother-child bond in these cases. And as Dr. Catherine Ayub told y'all yesterday, the child to these offenders is really nothing more than a tool to get their own needs fulfilled, be it attention, be it whatever that need is, that intrinsic need in that offender.
Well, Detective Michael Weber, thank you so much for giving input on this case. I know it's
Can I say one more thing? We did try to get a House bill passed, House Bill 3381, that would have made this a criminal law that would address this abuse. And we've tried 3 sessions, and the legislature has not acted on this all 3 sessions.
Detective Michael Weber, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, moving further down this rabbit hole, more warning signs missed. Now take a look here. This is one of the posts that the Anti-Defamation League says Moreno posted on an encrypted platform called Telegram. You see Moreno holding what appears to be a gun, and right there on the buttstock, pressed up against her shoulder, is a sticker that says Palestine. Now, police do say that there was a sticker that says Palestine on the gun that she used on the buttstock of the Lakewood shooting that she used in that attack. Now, it's unclear if this was the gun actually used in that attack that you see in the photo, but Mark Tubin with ADL says this was a clear warning sign.
Just want to say that our thoughts continue to be with the recovery of the 7-year-old boy.
Okay. Can Michael hear me?
Who was seriously wounded in this attack, and we hope that he has a full and complete recovery. Preliminary research by ADL Center on Extremism indicates that the Lakewood shooter had an extensive history of anti-Semitic social media posts, including expressing desires to harm the Jewish community, as well as support for anti-Israel and Islamist extremist groups. She expressed support for a range of anti-Semitic, anti-Zionist, and extremist beliefs, and she also praised U.S. designated terrorist groups, including Hamas and Hezbollah.
That's some really scary stuff. And looking at some of those screen grabs that you all posted, specifically the one where it seems that you can see a buttstock of a gun that says Palestine on it. What do you take from that photo in specific?
Yes. So you're referring to one of the photos that was included in the blog that ADL released, and it is purported, and it is our understanding that it is the Lakewood shooter, and she has pressed against her shoulder the butt of a rifle, and it says Palestine. This was shared on in mid-January, around January 15th, 2024, and it is a photo which she shared, which appears to be the weapon that she used in the attack. What's particularly disturbing is the message, which is found at the bottom of the image, and it says, in a month, they're going to get polished.
And it seems like all of these messages, all of these posts are anti-Semitic, but the church that she attacked was a Christian service. What do you take from that? It doesn't seem like she physically targeted the Jewish community, though she was posting a lot of hate messages toward them.
Yeah, ADL has no specific information as to why she chose to target Lakewood Church. You know, there have been reports in the media which have provided some suggestions, but we found nothing in our research which provides an answer to that question.
Just from your expertise with looking at this kind of content and researching this kind of content, do you feel like these posts that she was making were clear warning signs that something catastrophic like this was going to happen?
They're definitely clear warning signs, you know, as to what exactly was going to happen. That is not as clear, but we do know that she is threatening violence. So, for example, there was a post which she made on about January 3rd, 2024, in which she said that, you know, she's going to send Jews a message, and that she's in planning mode. Please don't message me private trying to stop me. I think that's a pretty clear warning that she's indicating that she may commit violence.
And just out of curiosity here, is there any like national database that monitors these kind of posts?
You know, look, it starts first and foremost with the platform on which it's posted. And this has been a concern for many years now, that social media platforms need to do a much better job of monitoring the posts which are placed on their platforms for not just for hate, but particularly when somebody is expounding hateful posts and including threats against a particular group of people. Most of these major platforms only publish partial information about how much hate content they remove or any other form of action. And making matters worse, these reports are often hard to find. The information is not particularly meaningful and only provides sort of, you know, patchy insights into how platforms address hate, harassment, and anti-Semitism.
Some very useful information there. Mark Tobin with ADL, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your input.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this story is continuing to develop. There are a lot of records that we have requested here at Fox 26. We're looking for body cam. We're looking for police records. We're looking for police calls, and we're going to continue to follow this story. But that is it for Fox 26 Crime Files right now for this week. I'm your host, Abigail Dye. I'll see you next week.